long-awaited speech made strategically in battleground Quebec and fronted with a shot at his political rivals.
The carbon tax isn't simply another Liberal tax grab.
Andrew Scheer is promising to scrap the Liberal carbon tax while still cutting emissions, but his focus is big polluters.
Emitters who exceed our limits will be required to invest in technology that will lower emissions to fight climate change. Technology, not taxes.
A stricter limit, 40 kilotons of greenhouse gas emissions a year, than the one set by the Liberals. After that, companies would be forced to invest in green technology, which could include their own programs, though how much they would pay isn't clear. Another idea, a push for more international cooperation.
It starts with exporting our environmental excellence.
A promise to somehow help other countries like China leave coal behind and instead use cleaner Canadian technology. How they would be convinced to do that is not spelled out, nor is how any of these measures would reduce Canadian emissions, a detail not lost on reporters.
What are the tangible numbers for reducing greenhouse gas emissions?
So have you done that math? Do you have those numbers internally, yes or no?
So we have done a lot of analysis, and we've consulted with a lot of stakeholders and experts.
Some listening to the plan were disappointed.
So it doesn't tell us anything about how Canada is going to reduce its emissions. It has no projections for how we're going to actually meet the Paris targets.
The Environment Minister was also in full campaign mode, clearly not impressed with Scheer's ideas.
He says we can save the planet, but we don't have to make any changes. Invent some technologies and sell them to other countries.
What do we want? Climate justice.
Competing plans that each will test out with voters this fall as the parties try to convince Canadians their plan is the most logical route to get to the Paris targets. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Ottawa.
Okay, so climate change promising to be a big issue for Canadians going into the federal election. Let's talk about what today's announcement means with CBC poll analyst Eric Grenier. Okay, this was highly anticipated, and of course Andrew Scheer has said he's against taxes. So why is he positioning himself this way, Eric?
Well, our own polling, the CBC News poll we released this week, shows that a lot of people are very concerned about climate change. Upwards of almost 2/3 say it's a top priority. So he did need to have a credible plan that he could present to Canadians ahead of the election. But at the same time, the poll showed that there's not a lot of Canadians who are prepared to make serious sacrifices in order to fight climate change, and particularly when it comes to new taxes or new costs. So for this plan to be as long as it is, but not have any new taxes for Canadians, no direct upfront costs, I think it aligns with what a lot of the people that Andrew Scheer wants to reach, that's what they're looking for.
Okay, and these people that he's trying to reach, obviously he's presenting a really different vision than everybody else. So who is he trying to talk to here?
It looks like he's really trying to reach conservative voters, or people that the Conservatives think that they can reach, because Liberals, New Democrats, and Greens, people who say they're going to vote for those parties, they are very, very concerned about climate change and they want to see serious action. Those who vote for the Conservatives or say they're going to are less likely to say it's a top priority and are especially more likely to say they don't want to pay anything for it. So a plan like this is going to speak to those people who are open to voting for the Conservatives. For Liberals, New Democrats, and Greens, there's more people who would vote for those parties based on their climate change plans. But for Andrew Scheer, he's all by himself on one side of the spectrum.
Okay, does that expand his voting base in any way? It doesn't sound like it would necessarily.
No, it doesn't sound like it's trying to reach those other voters, but to concentrate on the people who have voted for the Conservatives in the past and maybe are disappointed with the Liberals, want to see something on the environment, but not too much.
Okay, Eric Grenier, thanks for this. You're in Ottawa tonight.